All right, so if you're an IT pro managing Windows servers, you've definitely run into this, right? When it comes to remote access, what's your go-to? Do you stick with the universal powerhouse, SSH, or do you roll with the homegrown champion, WinRM? It's a classic matchup, and today, we're going to settle the score.
So, here's the game plan. We'll kick things off by setting the stage for this big showdown. Then, we'll properly introduce our two main players and throw them into the ring for a head-to-head comparison. But you're going to want to stick around because we've got a modern cloud-native challenger that's about to shake things up, which leads us to the big finale, figuring out how you choose the absolute best tool for your job.
You know, for the longest time, this has been the debate for Windows admins. It's a real clash of titans. On one side, you've got a protocol that can talk to pretty much any device on the planet, and on the other, you have a tool that's baked right into the DNA of the Windows operating system itself.
So, I gotta ask you directly, which camp are you in? Are you Team SSH, where you love having one single tool to manage your entire hybrid fleet of Windows, Linux, and macOS machines? Or are you Team WinRM, leveraging that beautiful seamless integration with Active Directory and PowerShell? Let's dig in and find out.
Okay, so before they go head-to-head, let's actually meet the contenders. Seriously, understanding where they come from, their origin story, is the key to figuring out what they do best.
You know, the backstory for SSH is actually pretty cool. It was created way back in 1995, which is ages ago in tech years, to replace really insecure old-timers like Telnet. It was forged in the world of Unix and quickly became the undisputed king of secure remote access over there. So when it finally landed on Windows, it brought decades of battle-tested, rock-solid reliability with it. But see, Microsoft, they played a totally different game. Instead of just adopting SSH, they built WinRM from the ground up. It's based on these standard web service protocols, which makes it super firewall-friendly. And the best part? It's deeply, deeply integrated with the Windows ecosystem, especially PowerShell. This thing was purpose-built for one job: managing Windows. All right, history lesson over, let's get to the main event. How do these two actually stack up when you're in the trenches, just trying to get work done? It's time for the round-by-round breakdown.
First up, it's all about philosophy, right? Their DNA. SSH is like the universal translator from Star Trek. If your world is a mix of Windows and Linux, it promises one tool to rule them all. WinRM, on the other hand, is the specialist. It's a Windows tool for Windows by Windows, and it speaks the language of the OS more fluently than anything else out there.
Now, authentication. This is where you really see the two different worlds they come from. SSH is all about the public/private key model. It's the gold standard in the open source community, and it's incredibly secure. WinRM, however, taps directly into the power you already have, your Windows domain. It uses Kerberos and NTLM, making it a totally natural extension of your Active Directory setup.
Okay, what about just getting up and running? Well, this is a night and day difference. WinRM is an absolute breeze. It's already there on your system, you run one little PowerShell command, and boom, you're in business. SSH? Well, it makes you work for it a little bit. You gotta install it, you gotta configure it, but that manual setup gives you a ton of granular control if you need it.
And you know, this quote from Paul Brothwith, man, it just perfectly sums up the whole debate. If you're living in a pure Windows world, WinRM is fantastic. It gets the job done. The real compelling reason to reach for SSH on Windows is if you're also managing Linux boxes. And having that one single tool is a huge, huge win for your team's workflow.
So, let's take a quick breather and look at the scoreboard. This table really tells the whole story, doesn't it? SSH is your battle-hardened, cross-platform veteran. WinRM is the native-born champion of the Windows world, built for ease of use and deep integration. Two very different tools, born from two very different philosophies.
Okay, but hold on. Everything we've talked about so far, it's kind of based on an old-school, on-premises way of thinking. The cloud doesn't just change where your servers are, it completely flips the script on security and access. So, it's time for a new player to enter the ring. And this is it. This is the Achilles heel for both SSH and WinRM in the cloud. They both need you to poke holes in your firewall. You've got to open port 22 for SSH or ports 5985 and 5986 for WinRM. And listen, every single open port is like leaving a door unlocked. It's an invitation. It's a massive glowing target on your attack surface.
So what's the answer? Well, say hello to AWS Systems Manager Session Manager. I know, it's a mouthful, but what it does is, frankly, revolutionary. It gives you a secure, interactive shell on your instances, Windows and Linux, without ever opening an inbound port,
without managing SSH keys and without running those expensive, complex bastion hosts. It's a total game changer.
And the way this works is it's a completely different mindset. Forget what you know. First, you're not juggling SSH keys or passwords anymore. Access is controlled by IAM, the cloud's native identity system. Second, the connection starts from inside the instance and goes out. That means no open inbound ports, ever. And third, everything you do is logged. Every command, every keystroke, all sent to a secure log for a perfect audit trail.
So, what's the payoff? I mean, look at this. You're not just solving one problem. You're knocking down a whole row of dominoes. You get rid of open ports. That's a massive security win. You can ditch your bastion hosts. That saves you time and money. You get one central place to control access and a perfect audit trail for compliance. It is just a fundamentally better way to do things in the cloud. Okay, so we've got our two classic heavyweights, SSH and WinRM, and now this new cloud-native champion, Session Manager. How in the world do you decide which one to use?
Let's make this super simple. Here's a little cheat sheet. If you're running a traditional on-prem all-Windows shop, WinRM is still your best friend. That native integration is just too good to pass up. If you're managing a mixed fleet of Windows and Linux boxes, SSH is your workhorse. That one tool to rule them all approach is a lifesaver. But if you're building in the cloud, especially on AWS, the security and operational benefits of AWS Systems Manager make it the clear, undeniable winner.
And that brings us to one last big picture question, a little food for thought. You see, tools like Systems Manager are amazing not just for getting a shell, but for automation. So maybe the real question isn't how we access the shell anymore, but for how much longer we'll even need to. Are we heading towards a future where we automate everything and the whole idea of logging into a server just fades away? Something to think about.